The wind cut through the thin walls like a knife, and Maya pulled her daughter closer, feeling the small body shiver against her chest. 6-year-old Emma's lips were turning blue, and Maya had nothing left, no blanket thick enough, no heater that worked, no miracle tucked away in empty pockets. She'd sold everything that mattered except the two things she couldn't: her dignity and her child. Outside their makeshift shelter in the Seattle suburb, December's frost painted cruel patterns on the windows of houses where families sat warm, where Christmas lights blinked with promises Maya could no longer make. She pressed her lips to Emma's forehead and whispered the words that broke her heart. "We'll sleep in the cold tonight, baby. Just hold on to Mommy." But then came a voice from the darkness, rough and unexpected, belonging to a man she'd seen rummaging through the same dumpsters, wearing the same defeat in his eyes. "Not while I'm here," he said, and Maya would never forget how those 4 words changed everything. She thought she knew about hope. His name was Joseph, though everyone at the shelter called him Old Joe, even though he couldn't have been more than 50. The streets had a way of aging people faster than time itself, carving years into faces with each hungry night each winter survived. Maya had noticed him before, always keeping to himself, never causing trouble, never asking for anything. He'd nod at her sometimes when their paths crossed at the soup kitchen on 5th Street, an acknowledgement between two people who understood what it meant to be invisible. Now he stood in the doorway of the abandoned warehouse where Maya had been squatting for 3 weeks, ever since the shelter reached capacity and started turning people away. In his arms, he carried something bulky wrapped in plastic. "I don't want any trouble," Maya said, instinctively tightening her hold on Emma. "No trouble," Joseph replied, his voice gentle despite its gravelly texture. "Just heard the little one coughing from across the hall. Thought you might need this." He unwrapped the plastic, revealing a sleeping bag, not new but thick and clean, the kind designed for mountain camping, the kind that cost money neither of them had. "I can't take that," Maya said, even as Emma's shivering intensified. "You'll freeze." Joseph smiled, and Maya saw that despite everything, despite the streets and the hardship, his eyes held something unbroken. "Already got my setup," he said. "Found 2 of these last week behind that outdoor store on Market Street. Manager throws out returned items, even good ones. Been meaning to pass this one along to someone who needed it more." Maya wanted to believe him, but she'd learned that survival made liars of honest people. "You're keeping one for yourself?" "Cross my heart." He made the gesture, solemn as a child's promise. "Plus, I got my coat and some cardboard. Us old-timers know the tricks, but a little one like her—" He looked at Emma with something like pain in his expression. "Kids shouldn't have to learn those tricks." That night, Emma slept warm for the first time in weeks, buried in the sleeping bag that smelled faintly of pine and detergent. Maya lay beside her, unable to sleep, thinking about Joseph and wondering what his story was. Everyone on the streets had one series of dominoes that fell in just the wrong order, pushing them from lives they'd known into this shadowland of charity lines and cold concrete. The next morning, Maya woke to find a paper bag outside their door. Inside, 3 granola bars, 2 apples, and a small carton of milk. No note, but she knew. Over the following days, Joseph became a quiet presence in their lives. He never intruded, never asked for anything in return, but small gifts appeared regularly. A pair of child's gloves gently used, a coloring book and crayons, once inexplicably, a stuffed elephant that made Emma smile for the first time in months. "Why are you doing this?" Maya finally asked him one evening, catching him in the act of leaving another bag. Joseph looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight from foot to foot. "I had a daughter once," he said finally. "She'd be about your age now. Haven't seen her in 7 years." The story came out slowly, like water from a rusted pipe. Joseph had been an electrician, good at his job, owned a small house in Tacoma. Then his wife got sick, cancer, the kind that ate through their savings faster than it ate through her body. He'd taken out loans, maxed out cards, sold everything. It wasn't enough. She died on a Tuesday in March, and by June, the bank had taken the house. His daughter went to live with her aunt, who made it clear Joseph wasn't welcome. Not with his depression, his drinking, his inability to keep himself together. "Fell apart for a while," Joseph said, staring at his hands. By the time I got clean, got my head straight, she was gone. Aunt moved to California, didn't leave a forwarding address. Probably better that way. What kind of father ends up like this? The kind who had everything taken from him, Maya said quietly. That doesn't make you a bad person. Maybe not. But maybe it's a chance to be a better one. He looked at Emma, who was sleeping peacefully. Maybe it's a chance to make up for the dad I wasn't able to be. The temperature dropped further that week, hitting record lows. The city opened emergency warming centers, but they filled quickly, and the bureaucracy of getting a spot felt impossible to navigate. Maya tried every day, calling numbers that rang endlessly, waiting in lines that moved nowhere. On the coldest night, when the forecast predicted temperatures below zero, Joseph showed up at their door with a plan. "There's a church 3 blocks from here," he said. "Pastor keeps the basement unlocked on nights like this." Not officially, mind you. City would probably shut him down if they knew. But he looks the other way when people slip in after dark. "Why didn't you say something before?" Maya asked. "Only just heard about it. One of the guys at the kitchen told me this afternoon." He paused. "There's space heaters down there. Real warmth. But we gotta go now before it fills up." Maya bundled Emma quickly, grabbing their few possessions. But as they prepared to leave, she noticed Joseph wasn't packing anything. "You're not coming? Somebody should stay here, keep an eye on everyone's stuff. Otherwise, you know how it goes. Folks come back, everything's gone." "You can't stay here alone tonight. You'll die." Joseph shrugged. "Got my sleeping bag, got my coat. I'll pile up the cardboard, block the wind. Been through worse." But Maya knew he'd given his sleeping bag to her. Knew that whatever tricks he claimed to have, they wouldn't be enough for a night like this. "No," she said firmly. "We all go or none of us go. The little one, Emma survives because we help each other. That's the only way any of us survive." Maya's voice cracked. "You taught me that!" In the church basement, they found warmth and more, a community of people who'd learned that kindness wasn't a luxury but a necessity. The pastor, a young man with tired eyes and a ready smile, served soup and asked no questions. Other families made room, shared blankets, told stories that made Emma laugh. Joseph sat quietly in the corner. And Maya watched him watch the children play, saw the tears he tried to hide. Later, when Emma was asleep, she sat beside him. "You should try to find her," Maya said. "Your daughter." What would I say? "Sorry I disappeared for 7 years, but at least I helped some other kid." You'd say you never stopped being a father. You'd say you lost your way but found your heart. Maya took his hand. You'd say you're sorry and you'd mean it. And maybe that would be enough. Something shifted in Joseph's face. "Maybe," he whispered. 3 months later, Maya stood in the kitchen of her new apartment. Nothing fancy, just a studio in a subsidized building, but it had heat and running water and a door that locked from the inside. She'd landed a job doing data entry, minimum wage but steady, and Emma had started school. The road ahead was still long, still uncertain. But it was a road, not a dead end. The knock on the door surprised her. When she opened it, Joseph stood there, cleaner than she'd ever seen him, wearing clothes that fit, and beside him stood a teenage girl with his eyes. "This is Rebecca," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "My daughter. We've been talking, working things out. She wanted to meet the people I told her about, the ones who reminded me why it mattered to keep trying." Rebecca smiled shyly. "Dad says you gave him his purpose back." Maya shook her head, feeling tears rise. "He had it all along. He just needed to remember." That evening, they shared a simple dinner, spaghetti and salad. Nothing elaborate, but it felt like a feast. Emma and Rebecca colored together while the adults talked, making plans, sharing dreams, building the kind of future that seemed impossible in that frozen warehouse. As Joseph prepared to leave, he hugged Maya tightly. "Thank you," he whispered. "For what? You saved us." "No," he said, pulling back to look at her. "You saved me. That night when you wouldn't go to the church without me, that was the first time in years someone made me believe I mattered, that I was worth saving too." After they left, Maya tucked Emma into bed, pulling the covers up to her chin. "Mommy," Emma said sleepily, "Mr. Joseph is a hero, right?" "Yes, baby, he is." "Because he gave us the sleeping bag?" Maya thought about it, about all the gifts, large and small, about the love that costs nothing but means everything. about the way one person's kindness can light a fire that warms more than bodies. Because he reminded us that we're never alone, she said finally. Even in the coldest night, even when it seems like nobody cares, there's always someone who'll say, "Not while I'm here." That's what heroes do. Emma smiled and closed her eyes, and Maya sat beside her, thinking about that December night when she'd thought they'd reached the end. Instead, they'd found a beginning, not because of money or luck or miracles, but because one person chose to see their suffering and refused to turn away. Outside, snow began to fall again, but inside they were warm. And somewhere across the city, a father and daughter were building bridges over 7 years of silence, proving that it's never too late to find your way home. Never too late to be the person you wish you'd been. The cold would come again. It always did. But Maya knew now what she hadn't known before. That humanity's warmth burns brighter than any winter. That kindness is the currency that matters most. And that sometimes salvation comes not from institutions or systems, but from the broken people who've learned that the only way to heal yourself is to help heal someone else. She whispered into the darkness. A prayer of gratitude for unexpected angels, for the Josephs of the world who carry sleeping bags when they have nothing else to give. Not while I'm here, she repeated softly, making it a promise of her own, to pay forward what had been given, to be someone else's warmth in the cold night ahead.